It's fascinating how most people tend to underperform the benchmark. If you're in crypto and you have an altcoin portfolio, you're likely underperforming Bitcoin. If you have a stock portfolio, you pick individual stocks, you're likely underperforming the S&P 500. I think the reason for that is that most people tend to run after the big shiny object. But more often than not, those shiny objects are the crowded trades. They are the trades that tend to underperform after a while because attention moves from one asset to the next, and there is correlation between attention and price. So when everybody looks at asset A, really we should be looking at asset B. And that's why in this video we're going to look at Chainlink. Chainlink does not have a lot of attention on it right now, but maybe there's an opportunity because again, we want to invest in things that most people don't have on their radar right now. And here's the potential opportunity. We currently go down in Chainlink's market cap. We are at $15. We tend to peak somewhere between 15 and 20 billion in market cap. Currently we are at 10 billion. There is a difference between price and market cap though. And that difference is caused by token inflation. So the price isn't peaking as much as the market cap is, because we went from 350 million Link tokens to now close to 600 million. And the maximum supply is 1 billion. The team moves money from the locked managed wallets to the liquid ones in order to fund operation. Now Chainlink is still the second largest trending token on Ethereum. Interestingly enough, number one is Pepe. Even though we've got close to 32 million worth of liquidity, the trading activity is rather low. There's only 119 wallets that have interacted with Chainlink in the last 24 hours. Look at this number in relation to the number of total holders, which is 810,000 holders. So really, most people that are in Chainlink are not actively trading it. They're simply just buying it, investing in it long term, and hope for the technology to turn into price appreciation. There's a very interesting trend with Chainlink. We used to have a lot of acquisition by the small retail investor, but that seems to have stopped. So what we see on the left, that's the number of wallets that have at least 70 Link. At the current price, that's close to $1,000 worth of Link. In the last 2 years, we haven't seen any growth in the number of retail investors. For the chart in the middle, it's $10,000. That growth has also stopped 2 years ago. And on the right side, we've got smaller sized whales, so that's $100,000 worth of Link. But let's go even higher than that. On the left side now, we see the number of wallets with at least $1 million worth of Link. That is going up. $10 million is also going up. And then on the right, of course, $100 million. That's mainly the team. But we can clearly see that the mega whales, they are accumulating, they are growing in numbers, while the small retail investor has stopped accumulating the Link token. And in general, I like this development. I like that the smart money, the whales, they are accumulating while maybe the retail investor is sleeping on Chainlink. Because here's how I see crypto works. It's both a game of luck and skill. And the more the game is played, the more the capital allocates towards the skilled people. So the luck component cancels out. Thus, the very heavy wallets, the wallets with a lot of capital that get into an asset with millions of dollars, they tended to make the right calls in the past. They tend to have, on average, more skill. Now let's have a look at relative valuations. This here is the Chainlink price in US dollars. It's a chart most people look at, but it's not necessarily the best one. This is just on a linear scale. We can look at the same on a logarithmic scale. Now we get a better idea of growth rates across time, because now vertical distances equate to the same percentage gains. If you're enjoying this video so far and you're getting some value out of it, then feel free to give this a like. It will help the channel grow. It will help spread the word. Thank you very much. But then it's even better to put this into relation with the general altcoin market cap. So this is the Link price relative to the alts. There seems to be a trading range, as in the last 3 years, we have been trading in a quite well-defined ratio between Link and the rest of the altcoin market. Those two lines are parallel, and I do think it makes sense to take that support and resistance seriously. Link currently is in negative momentum, and it could still underperform the rest of the altcoin market by 16%, But at that point, right, once we are at the lower end, there's quite a bit of upside, more than 100%, 116% to be more precise. On October 10th, Chainlink saw a massive dump triggered through the perpetual futures market. It's not just Chainlink, pretty much any altcoin went down. But Chainlink's crash was stronger than the average altcoin. It went down temporarily by 66%, while the general altcoin market cap went down by only 48%. So Chainlink was slightly more levered, but all of that leverage got flushed out. On that day, we saw 167 million of long liquidations. So that's people that were betting on rising prices. That's the speculative money that did not just buy on the spot market on chain, but they wanted to get levered exposure, and that got heavily punished. And so the funding rate of Link went massively negative, as happened for pretty much any other altcoin, but we have now normalized again. The funding rate tends to be positive most of the time. So again, most people tend to bet on rising prices of Link most of the time. The longs have to pay the shorts to get more price exposure. This flush out event has decreased the open interest, so the amounts of bets on the Link price massively. We went from 1.8, 1.9 billion all the way down to 600 million. And there is a positive correlation between price and speculation on an asset. As in, when there's more open interest, the price tends to be high. When there's less open interest, the price tends to be low. So seeing less open interest in general is a positive thing. But again, we are not yet at historical lows. And again, it seems like we are not yet at the bottom of the trading range. So while the current risk to reward is already quite attractive, I do think it makes sense to wait a bit longer and just keep Link on the watch list. The trading volume on the perps has also not yet come to the very low levels. And again, there is some correlation between trading volume and price. We first want to see the market completely ignoring Link, and we are not yet there. And so that's my game plan with Chainlink. I'm not yet buying, but I'm watching it very, very closely. And once we hit that support, we can just go long, we can just buy on the spot market and then have a very, very tight stop loss. Because I do not expect this trend channel to suddenly break. I do think that Link has some development up its sleeves, and it's usually positive news, new technology that's getting developed, new partnerships that push up the price again. And so very likely as we approach the bottom, we'll get closer to another announcement, and that then creates new excitement one more time. And that's then when we might want to take at least partial profit. I will publish a video when I'm going to buy Chainlink again here on this channel. If you don't want to miss that, feel free to subscribe over here. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. Feel free to also check out the premium membership. This is where I share every trade that I personally make. I am outperforming the market for the last 4 years by roughly 1.5% every single month. So the link over here to premium pops up on the screen. Just click on that. Will lead you to the website. See you next time. Cheers.